Hello and welcome, everyone. My name is Mark, a trainer here at WEX Field Service Management, and today we are covering price book basics. This webinar will cover a price book overview, how to set up your price book, how to choose your categories. We'll look at pricing defaults, warranties, job form preferences, how to add products to your price book, how to add products from your price book to an invoice, and then how to upload a price book to save you time from data, like manual data entry if you have that option, with a live Q&A at the end where you can get your questions answered live on stream. And without further ado, let's go ahead and dive into WEX FSM. So I'm going to give you an overview and kind of show the end goal of what we are working towards, and then we will start with the very beginning of how to set up a price book in your system. So right now I'm on a job. This is job 13588. This is a job I just made for a price book example for today's presentation. And if we scroll down, I have some invoices. Now, to get to seeing your price books that you have available, you will create an invoice. So I'm just going to create a new invoice by clicking new. And on the invoice, we're going to click add item. And just to give you an overview, once you have a price book built out in your system, you will see those here. This From Price Book is the tab that has all of your integrated price book items that are inside WEX FSM. These are items that you can build out manually, and you can search for items. You just type the name. As long as those are in your price book, you will see that show up. It'll use that keyword. Any item with that keyword will pull. And you can click on price book folders. And from here, you have folders that you can set up. Click into each folder. You can set up subfolders. Click into there, and then you'll have the actual parts or labor that you're looking for. You're able to select items and add them to your proposals and invoices. If we go back, what we're going to cover today is how to build out your WEX FSM price book from scratch. But to let you know, there are other options for pricing. You can add on a subscription. There is a third-party application that integrates with your system called Profit Rhino, and that is for a flat rate price book that's already pre-built, and the pricing updates over time based on your region. And if you are using QuickBooks, then you can sync to QuickBooks, and your QuickBooks item list will show up here under the QuickBooks item list section. But for today, we want to focus on how do I do this? How do I build out my price book in WEX FSM? To do this, the very first place that I recommend, and I do recommend doing what I'm teaching today in the order that I'm teaching it. So very specific order to make this run as smoothly and quickly as possible. So one of the first things you want to do is create your categories. So we will go to more applications, price book, right here, my price book categories. That brings you to the categories page. And when we say category, I like to think of categories as digital file folders. So think of these as folders. A top level category, if I click add top level category, I would enter the name. I like to think of this as like a main folder and hit add. So if we go down, we should be able to see these will be in alphabetical order. Here's my main folder I just created. When I go to access my price book on an invoice, let's say, I will see this as a main folder. If I want to add a subfolder, I can click the red plus button next to that folder and create a subfolder. You will name these however you want. Uh, as you can see some examples here, I created a general folder with general parts, service bundles, and discounts. I've got a installs folder. So maybe I want my technicians when they're on the job, they look, I'm doing an install. When I create the invoice, I'll just go to my installs folder. What kind of equipment was it? It was a furnace. I'll go to my furnace install. Now everything I need for that is right here in that folder. This is all personal preference. You will set these categories up the best way you see fit for you and your team. If you want to delete a folder, you do need to make sure that all the items in that folder have been deleted, and then you can click on the edit pencil to delete. And we'll do that for our main folder example as well. Okay, and there we go. So once you have your categories set, you will then want to set your pricing defaults. So step number 2, go to More Applications, Price Book, Pricing Defaults. In here, this is where you can set your standard price with a markup for parts. So this example here, my markup right now is 1.5. That means an item that costs me $100 will be automatically marked up and we will charge the customer $150. So put whatever markup you think is best for you here, and you will see an example of cost to final price ratio here as you update and change this markup multiplier. Then we have maintenance plan pricing. Once a customer becomes a maintenance plan customer in your system, when you make a job for them, it will automatically update the pricing strategy from standard price to maintenance plan pricing. That way, you don't have to think about it. It's just going to automatically apply any discount that you have here. And that is a very common standard way to do business, running a maintenance plan program. Offer your customers a discount on parts, for being a loyal member of your Comfort Club plan, whatever you have set up. Then we have modifiers. Each of these are editable. It will allow you to click and edit the name of what you want this to be. And right now, I have a friends and family discount for 15% off, military discount for 20% off, and after hours is actually a price increase, 25%. And when you create a job, you will be able to select which of these pricing strategies you want, and then they will update the items as they're added from the price book. So, if I have a item, I add it, it'll be the standard price if they're not a maintenance plan customer. If they are a maintenance plan customer, then that item will come in and be 10% off because the maintenance plan pricing will add automatically. Or if I have selected friends and family and I add that, it'll be 15% off. But you can control this per item. So you can make it to where these discounts will apply, or you can turn that off. Maybe you don't want any discounts to apply to things like your labor. And we'll take a look at that when we get into actually building the price book items. You also have your labor defaults below. And the reason why I recommend doing this, second, technically you could do this first, but you want to do this before you start adding items to your price book. And here's why. In yellow text, you can see any changes made below to the pricing strategy default section will take effect when creating new products in the price book. Existing products in the price book will remain unchanged and need to be updated manually. So if you go in and build out your entire price book and then you come here and change something, it will not apply to those items that you've already added. It will only apply to new items that you add into your system. So doing this first is a good idea. That way, this is already set. Then you add your items and it'll take on these pricing strategies. But let's say 6 months from now, you come in, you realize, I need to update my parts markup multiplier. I want it to apply to all of my price book items, however. You can simply reach out to customer care, just click the smiley face icon, contact support, and submit a service request. Just let them know, hey, I just updated my parts markup multiplier, and I would like that to apply to my entire price book. It typically takes 1 to 2 business days, and then you will notice that price adjustment for all items in your system. Okay, that is setting up your pricing defaults. Next, let's look at warranties. So we'll go to more applications, price book, warranties. If you offer warranties, you can click add new warranty and choose between a manufacturer parts warranty, contractor labor warranty, enter the name of the warranty, how many years the warranty is for, a description, and save. Then, when you're creating price book items that have a warranty that you want to include, you can just attach a warranty from this list to the price book item. Then, when I go to add that price book item onto my proposals and invoices, it'll just pull the right warranty in that moment. You can also add warranties manually on your job forms, but you have to add them here first. So any warranties that you offer, you'll want to add to this admin page. That way they're available when you need them to either add to a price book item or add to an invoice directly. Next, I do recommend setting your job preferences. And let's take a look at that. So we're going to go to settings, jobs, job preferences. And from here, the job forms section is going to, so like when I add a price book item to an invoice, there's a lot of information. And some of that information I may not want my customer to see. I need to see it, but I don't want my customer to see it. So you can show or hide the following information: model numbers, unit prices, uh, maintenance plan savings, product numbers, amounts and quantities, and those specifically relate to price book items. So maybe I don't want my customer to see the model number of what I'm adding. I'm going to turn that off by default. If I do want to show that, I can toggle that back on, but this is just setting your defaults. That way, when I add items from my price book, it will show or hide my preferences I set here. This is completely up to you. Set these to whatever you want. Scroll down and hit save at the bottom. Now, let's actually start adding items to our price book. So our foundation has been set. We now can go to more applications, price book, my price book. Now, if you've done your foundation, then you will see all of your categories are here, and mine are organized. I personally like having these in a very specific order. You do not have to do this, but this is something I like to do. I put a number in the title. That way, my general folder will always be at the top. My installs are next. By brand is next. My maintenance folder. And by adding the number, it just puts it in the order I want because these will be in alphanumeric order. You don't have to do that. You could just leave the numbers out and it'll just put it in that alphabetical order. From here, if you already have items, you can click the drop down and see the items that are in each folder. It will tell you how many items are in there. And if I want to just edit or update an item that's already here, I can click on it and make my changes and then click save. To create a new Pricebook item from scratch, you will click Add Product. So when we do this, we have 4 product types you can choose from. Single part only will be your parts and equipment. Labor or service only, labor, trip charges, service charges. A bundle, which allows you to pull parts and labor together. This is great for building out flat rate items. And a discount, and this is a dollar amount discount, kind of like a coupon. And let's see an example of each of these, starting with a single part only. Select that. Now we're into building this item. The product name, the category, so the product name and description will be customer facing. That's typically what you want your customer to see is, what is the item and what am I getting? And that can go in your description. Since we already have our categories set up, we can select a category. And so this general part, let's say I want it to go in my general parts folder. I'll select that. If I'm syncing to QuickBooks, where do I want the revenue for this item to sync to when it's sold on an invoice? Let's set that to our income job account. You can add a product image if you would like. And cost. Now, this part is very important for making sure your profit and loss numbers are correct. If there's no cost here, when this is added to an invoice, then the job will go looking for the cost and not find anything. That will be a missing piece of the equation for profit and loss. So put your costs. This is how much this item costs you. And once you enter that cost, your system will add your markup from the pricing defaults page and put in the price you'll charge your customer, which is the standard price. Choose, do you want to charge tax or not? If this is an item that you want to find easily when you're searching, you can click the heart to add it as a favorite. And now here are the pricing strategies. So we've already set these up. We've got our maintenance plan pricing, friends and family discount, military discount, after hours upcharge. This will show you the percentages and what those items will cost with these applied. On additional details, this is going to allow you to, if you're making this and you want this to also create a QuickBooks inventory part, you can turn that on here and attach it to an asset account or a COGS account. Manufacturer warranty. If you want to attach a warranty to this, click on that. This will just give you the warranties that you have added on that warranties page we saw earlier. And this part comes in very handy if this is something you need. Serialize. If you're selling a part and it has a serial number, you're going to want a place to document that so you can have your customer's exact unit on file. So if serialize is turned on when you add this item to your invoice, it'll have a field for you to add the serial number. If this is off, there just won't be that field to add that. Once you're done, you will click save, and that will then save that item in the folder that you selected. Now let's do that again. We'll click add product, but this time we're going to choose labor or service. Very similar here. You'll add the product name, what category. I want this to go into my service folder. I need this to, we'll have this be income job as well. And then from here, we have a couple options. You've got your labor cost per hour, your markup. What's nice is I can change any of these fields. As you can see, I can click into any of these and I can update these as needed. So if I change the price, it'll just automatically do the math and add my markup. or adjust my markup. If I change the cost, it'll apply the markup, give me the price. So you can edit any of these fields that you want, and it will do the math for you for the other fields. Now, for my labor, I don't want to discount my labor. So I'm going to go ahead and turn these pricing strategies off. And that makes it so that when I add this to my invoice, it's not going to apply any of these discounts or upcharges. Maybe I do want to have after hours to add the upcharge. This is up to you. You can set this however you want. Biggest difference when this is added, it just won't have these options available. That way, your technician may not uh, make a mistake out in the field by applying the wrong discount to the wrong product. And what's nice too is if I add a product that has these turned on and then a product that has them turned off, your system will just automatically know that now and apply or not apply the pricing strategies based on your settings here. Okay. For additional details on the labor type, you can add warranties. And when you're done, you'll click Save. Next, let's do Add Product and choose Bundle, Multi-Item Group. And this is very simple, but it's good to know. You do have to have individual items in your price book first to build a bundle. Think of it as a basket, and I'm going to grab pieces of fruit. I need the fruit to then put it in the basket to create that bundle. So this is going to have price book items that are already in your system. If you want to type in and search for what you're looking for, select it. You can select multiple items from the parts. If you don't have a part in your price book, you can create a new one here. So add new part. This just allows you to add the single part. It will add to your price book, and then you'll select it to add it to your bundle. Once you have your part selected, we'll go ahead and select labor. From here, we'll select this labor. Once you have your parts and your labor together, we will hit create product bundle. Now, what's unique about the bundle is that you can add as many components as you want, and you'll see those from your end, but the customer will only see this as a single item. So, maybe this is a furnace install, and I want to put this in my bundles. And the description I would write out to what I want the customer to see about this install. But then within the install, I will have parts and labor, any components that I want or need. Those items will sync individually, even though they are in a bundle, they will sync to the income account that you set per item within the bundle. And the same rules will apply here with the pricing strategy. If you want these to apply, leave them on. If you don't want them to apply, leave them off. But typically, bundles are used when you want the customer to just see one product, but on your end, you want to see all the parts and the labor individually. And that's what bundles are great for. Additional details for bundles will allow you to create inventory parts, add warranties, and you can even set the manufacturer brand and warranty from here as well. All right, when you're done, you will click Save, and that will save your bundle. And finally, we have discounts. So we'll click Add Product. Let's choose a discount. And then this is really going to be a dollar amount discount. I like to think of these as coupons. You will put in, the amount. So this is a $10 discount. We'd want to put 10, and it will automatically add a minus sign because this is a discount. Where do I want this to go? Maybe you make a discounts folder, and that's where you want it to be saved. And then we'll have that go to our income job account. And this is good to go. You'll click save, and that will save itself in the folder that you chose. Using these on an invoice, I want to give $25 off for my first time customer. I just made a coupon for that as a discount, and you add, it'll subtract $25 from the total of that job. Okay, that is an example of building out your items. Once you have those all built out and ready to go, you are able to add those to your proposals and invoices. So let's see the price book in action now. So we're going to go back to the job that we looked at before, and let's create an invoice, add items from our price book, and charge the customer. So we're going to go down. Let's create a new invoice by clicking new. And then once you're on an invoice, you will want to add items to it. So we'll click add item. And here we are. So any items that you added to your price book, you will see here. You can search for your item. So let's look for that general part. And here we go. We'll select this one. And then if you want to add labor, you could search. Let's find our labor through the folders. So we'll go to price book folders. I know I want general labor. So I'm going to go to general. Labor is in my service folder. And now, I've got different options here. Let's just do the general labor here. Once you have all the items you want selected, click add items. And now we have officially added these items from our price book to our invoice. Once they make it onto the job form, it becomes unique. So you can make your edits here. Change this to whatever you want it to be. Let's up the price and update. And there we go. Any updates that you make, it's not going to update the original pricing in the main price book. Scroll down and you can either pay now, which will process through WEX FSM and send the money to your bank account. Record payment is if you are processing outside of WEX FSM, like taking a cash payment, you'll still need to take that cash to the bank. And send, I can send this invoice to the customer. They'll be able to view it as a PDF and make a payment online. And that will also process through WEX FSM and send that money to your bank account. For today's example, let's do record payment. We're going to bypass the signature, but it is always good to get a signature from your customer. This is saying, here is the invoice that we are paying for today. Scroll down. Let's choose a payment method. They paid by check today. Date received. Record payment. And we talked about making sure that you add your cost to the price book items. That will show up here under the profit and loss section. So this revenue total you see here is the total revenue from all invoices. The product cost is going to come from items you've added to the invoice. Now, this is a 3600 because we do have many invoices here. And then that will subtract those product costs from the revenue to give you a profit. If you want or need to, you can click See Details to see a breakdown of all of the product costs per item. All right. And then the final piece of advice here is that you can manually build out your price book. You can do everything that we talked about today, go to your More Applications price book, My Price Book, and build all of this out. That does take time, but it's time well invested because having good pricing in your system is always a nice thing to make your operations run smoothly. However, you can upload a price book if you have items in an Excel file. So to do this, you can go to More Applications, Data Center, and then from here, if you are still in onboarding, then this would be included when you onboard your customer data. You can choose to upload a price book during the onboarding time. Now, this test account that I'm in currently is in onboarding mode. So when you first sign up, if you're in onboarding, we have a couple things that will show, and I guess the process will be a little different pre-making the switch, which is what we're seeing right now. So if you are uploading an Excel file with all of your pricing in onboarding, this is what you'll see. Onboard my customer data, and then you'll be able to submit your data from there. If you have had WEX FSM for quite a while, and this is just a price book you would like to add, when you go to the data center, this will look slightly different. It'll just physically say, upload a price book as an option, and you'll click on that. That will then allow you to upload an Excel file, as long as that Excel file has the name, model numbers, descriptions, pricing, costs, and income account that you want those to sync to, and whether or not you want those items taxable. That information will be used to then load that info into your price book. Once a price book has been loaded from the data team, you will receive a message in your messages here saying we have officially loaded your data. And then you will go to your price book and see those items in here as if you added them manually. Okay, that is all the information we have for today's presentation. I hope that you learned something. We're going to move to our Q&A now, but before we do, I just want to say thank you so much for joining. My name is Mark with WEX Field Service Management, and this has been Pricebook Basics.